have good knowledge in this area because I have read these things. So this knowledge has to, you have to demonstrate here. Now, when you are writing this area, particularly this, through the literature review, all the markers can get to know whether the student is a serious student or not. So that's why sometimes in your whole dissertation, maybe you made some mistakes in your analysis, maybe you made some mistakes in choosing the right methodology, maybe you made some mistakes here and there, and it's still, you can get a pass, at least a pass, if you have a good literature review. Because at least a person could see that, oh, this person has done effort, the student worked hard, did not wait things to fall from the sky, the student reached to different materials. This is about research. This is about testing whether you have the skills to do researching. You see, so that's why there are a lot of areas, and then when you are reading this, you automatically upgrade your own knowledge as well. See, so it actually can help you in many ways, but mostly to show you, to show the markers that you have got the upgraded knowledge in the subject area. And yeah, when I say upgraded knowledge, is because sometimes you know that certain articles that you are going to read may be a little bit too old. So if it's too old, I don't think you really need to look for them. So generally, rule of thumb is 5 years. So 5 years means now we are in 2016, right? So 2010 at the most. Particularly if your research is about consumer behavior, marketing related research. So researchers about the researchers that can have a very strong link with trends. So it has to be updated ones. Yeah. So now, when you're writing this literature review, again, it has to demonstrate that you've got an upgraded knowledge, but then at the same time, it doesn't really have a specific structure as such. But generally, when you're writing a literature review, there are a few things that you can use as tips, guidelines. The first thing is that your literature review should be focused on your research objectives. Because you know that when you're writing a research paper, you are going to set research objectives, right? So your whole research is based on achieving these objectives, based on those, going after those objectives. So when you're writing your literature review also, you have to focus on those research objectives. So throughout the research, from beginning to end, the whole research, you're going to focus on the objectives that you have set when you start writing the paper. So that is one thing. So when you are going to design your literature review writing section, perhaps you have the objectives, and then you need to don't use objectives as headings, but you have to keep that some part of your mind. And when you are doing the writing, you get those things one by one. So maybe objective one, to know how, maybe we are talking about the same example, the market fluctuations, of property market fluctuations and how to affect the investors. So maybe about to understand the investor thinking, to find out how investors behave in different circumstances. So those are the objectives, right? So you are going to, when you're going to write it, your literature review should focus on those objectives, and how you are going to present is totally up to you. Maybe you want to start with objective one, and then you go literature related to objective one, and you talk about it, and then you go to objective two, and you talk about literature related to that, and go on. Now, one thing you need to know is that when you're going from objective one to objective two, and objective two to objective three, for a research maximum of MBA level, okay, it's good to have about 3 objectives, and do not go for 5, 6, 7 objectives. I've seen some students sitting so many objectives, they are useless. The thing is that if you're going to write like about 7-8 objectives, you can write your dissertation for your whole life, and you may not still be able to complete it. And it is not fitting to a master degree level. You know that you're doing a master degree level, so that is not a PhD anyway. And but again, it is not a bachelor degree too, right? So it has to be at the right level. So for a master degree level, one objective may be too less. 2 is okay, but still depends on how you write it. 3 would be the most ideal number. So when you're going to write from literature review related to objective 1 and then you go to objective 2, now remember, it has to be a story that has a continuous flow. Meaning that when you're going from objective 1 literature to objective 2 literature, you have to have a linking paragraph. You have a linking. Otherwise, it looks like 3 pieces, and no interconnectivity, and it doesn't look nice. So it has to go on and go about it. And sometimes what you're doing is that in a good literature review writing, it's not you are just only talking about Forbes 2003 says like this, like that. It's not only that you are going to talk like individual pieces, that person says this, that person describes that. It's always good. It's always good for you to get good marks. It's always good that if you can compare the ideas of 2 different authors, if you can be a good critic of 2 different articles written by 2 different authors, and the critic comes from your own words, and that actually can give a very good idea that, oh, you're a very analytical student and you really know what you're doing. You understand? So that actually can be quite helpful too. Yeah, so it doesn't really have a specific structure as such, but usually based on the objectives. And my suggestion for the literature review is that now you're going to write at least minimum 10 to 11,000 words, right, in the literature review section. So if you're going to write it as a single paragraph, it would look so horrible. Okay? So I think under the chapter of literature review, create subtopics. And these subtopics again are in line with the objectives. Okay? And inside these subtopics, you have your own different section. So literature review, chapter 2 and 2.1 is this, that, so you come up with a nice little summary. So the best way to write when you're writing a dissertation is that you have the introduction, you don't really need to apply that, but if you're talking about from for an area like literature review, maybe your 2.1 can be a little bit of a summary or maybe introduction to what you're going to write in the literature review. So maybe you can come up with a simple paragraph saying that, oh, this literature will focus on these objectives of this research, and these areas have been identified, discussed, and then you go on and on. So it gives a very good idea for the markers to know that, oh, this student is very precise, very articulated, very conscious about the structure. So basically this, the whole dissertation, I think you have to know that it's about your logical thinking and how you apply your logical skills to your work and how you present that. Sometimes some people, they have a lot of ideas, sometimes they're very logical in presenting themselves, but sometimes they get lost. They simply get lost. They really can't present it in a coherent way that other parties can understand. So you have to, if you are one of them, that you are not one of your strengths is not presenting things in a coherent manner. If you know that you have this kind of weakness, you really have to put a lot of it. That means you write it and then you ask someone else really good and see whether it looks, whether your idea comes well. So that's the way we need to start. But don't worry for the proposal. You don't really have to write too much. Proposal, I think, about 1,500 words. I think about 900 words to 1,000. How many words for your proposal? 1,500 to 2,000. Yeah, about 1,000 plus words, not many, for the literature review section. Yeah, so all literature versus new literature. Yeah, so this is the area. Now, how do you determine whether a person is a recognized person or expert, an expert in the area? Now, if your research is about, say, investment, so of course we know that people like Warren Buffett and those kind of guys who wrote things around that should be definitely considered as experts' work, right? And then there is no hard and fast rule saying that okay, this person, for somebody to be an expert, they need to have this criteria. So, but now, for an example, if I say that a university professor, maybe from Hong Kong U, say that he writes an article to South China Morning Post and talking about maybe investment climate in Hong Kong or in Asia. Now, if you compare this particular person with someone like Warren Buffett, I don't really think that person, I mean, he's a professor, the other one is an industrial practitioner. So, now, one may think that, the university professor may not really be qualified enough, but we really can't discard it because at least he's a professor in that area, so he should have some sufficient knowledge. So identifying a person who's as a professional or as an expert in the area is very much of a subjective matter, and but at the same time, if say for an example, your marker say, oh, you know, the